know it doesn't look particularly steep on the video, but it actually is for an old boy like me. So, getting onto the subject of insomnia and how I've managed to largely beat it, or at very least greatly improve my sleep patterns. And I actually started this process before I went carnivore, but with limited success. I always thought for a long time that my neuroreceptors, things like serotonin and dopamine, were all out of whack. So about 2 months before starting carnivore, I decided to start taking a small supplement of 5-HTP and L-phenylalanine. And you know what, that was a marked improvement. It did chill me out a little bit. I did find that when I did good things, I got a nice dopamine response. I found I was able to relax. I was able to chill out an awful lot better. I was able to turn my brain off a little bit better. But it wasn't until I went carnivore that it really kicked in. It really started taking effect. And these flies are horrible. They don't taste very nice. So yeah, what I had to do was put in a specific time to go to sleep, or at least go to bed, and a specific time to wake up. And even if I didn't get a good night's sleep, I would still get up at that time. Now I tend to get up between 4:30 and 5. I don't need to. I just do that to force my body to be tired enough by 9:30, 10 o'clock to actually fall asleep every single night. So if my alarm goes off at 4:30, I don't lie in bed, I don't use a snooze, I just get up. And when I was having coffee, I would get up and have a coffee and start my day straight away, start doing some work, get my brain so it's actually activated, and you know, start the day as you mean to continue. And for a few weeks that was, you know, challenging, and then all of a sudden your body just goes, all right, you know, this works. Get to bed, fast asleep by 10 o'clock, sleep all the way through to 4:30, 5 o'clock, and you find your body just appreciates it. Because whilst it's not many hours, probably less hours than most people would get, it's solid. You're solid asleep, so it's good quality sleep. The other things I've implemented, apart from, you know, the actual times and the carnivore, were things like, God, I'm knackered. So I thought I'd give you some tips on conquering insomnia. Now, I wouldn't say I'm the expert in insomnia or, you know, disrupted sleep patterns or anything like that, but it's something I've suffered with at least 2 decades. I mean, I'm sure I was suffering with it in my teenage years, and there's been bouts, you know, where it goes on for six months quite easily, where you just sleep every 3rd or 4th night. And I'm not just saying like lie there restless at night, actually go to sleep for probably about half an hour, wake up, and then be sat doing work while everyone else is sleeping. And as the dawn comes, I'm still wide awake. And that would happen for 3-4 nights, and it would happen continually in a cycle, and it would go on and on and on. And I've never really been overly anxious, I've never really been overly stressed, but when that starts happening to you, you know, when you can't go to sleep, it absolutely crushes you, because your ability to, you know, cope during the day is greatly reduced. You find you eat all the wrong things, you find you're snappy with people, you find you can't concentrate, and you just can't perform like you really want to perform. And it was a horrible state to be in. It's almost like a form of torture, to be honest, almost like self-induced torture. So I thought, right, I need to make some changes here. And one of the changes I did initially was I put in a strict time to go to sleep, which has upset people, certainly upset my previous partner, because some people don't have any problems going to sleep, and if they want to go to sleep at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's no good for me. I need to be in bed for 9:30, asleep for 10 o'clock, and then I'll get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of sleep, but it's solid sleep, it's good sleep. It's sleep, you know, where you actually do wake up and think, oh, that was fabulous. And it's certainly a lot better than no sleep. So, number one tip, set an actual sleeping like time scale and a schedule kind of thing. So for me, it's 10 o'clock, racked out, up fresh, 4:30, 5 o'clock. But when you start doing that, if you don't go to sleep, still get up at the 4:30, 5 o'clock. That's really important, that is, because you've got to force your body to get into a routine so it knows what it's doing. The other thing I do is everywhere I go, I have blackout blinds, good quality blackout blinds, and I have an eye mask just to make sure that everywhere is completely dark. You'd be amazed just how much better your sleep is when you're in complete pitch black. You just seem to refresh better, you seem to have a much deeper sleep, and some of the studies I've read, it's like you don't fully heal or repair or, you know, re-energize until you are in complete darkness. It's almost like, you know, when you try and have a nap in the afternoon and it's still light and you feel like absolutely death warmed up when you come round. It's a different type of sleep. The other thing I do is I wear earplugs to block out all sound. I'm not saying super duper earplugs where you can't hear anything. I still want to be able to hear important things, but it just reduces the amount of input you're getting into your brain through your ears. And the earplugs I tend to use are either, I think they're made by Alpine, they're like little sleep buds that you put in. They're relatively inexpensive. So I use those often when I'm working away and things like that, going on holiday. But I also have some Bose sleep buds, which were very expensive, to be honest. And those work with your phone via an app, and they play different sounds into your ears. I use white noise, same as I use white noise on my ears on my headphone when I'm training. It's just something I've got into. It just switches my brain off having white noise. There's nothing to concentrate on. But the Bose earbuds, they're pretty good, to be honest, and they've got a variety of different sounds that you can play in there, and they kind of cancel the noise out which is around you and kind of turn your brain off to a degree. But I wouldn't say that those send you to sleep. They don't work like that. I don't think they soothe you to send you to sleep. I think what they do is they keep you asleep when you have actually fallen asleep. So if you was just to get those and not follow the other steps on this list, I don't think they would reach their full potential. I will put a link to all these different products, so you know, if they're of help to you, then brilliant. So to recap, obviously, time to sleep, keep to that. Eye mask or blackout blinds, something to block out the noises around you. Reducing caffeine. One of the other things I did first of all was to totally wean off caffeine. I went to decaffeinated. I still drank very good quality Italian coffee, and you know, at the time quite a bit of it, but it was all decaffeinated. So that was a big benefit to me. It certainly does help you get sleep because caffeine lasts in your system for hours and hours and hours. I didn't have any stimulants like a lot of people take things like your himbine and ginseng, fat burners and stuff like that. I didn't take any of those because a lot of my friends take those and they're always like hyped up, and they do struggle to fall asleep as a result. So I've never took anything like that. What I do take as a supplement first thing in the morning before, well, obviously I don't eat breakfast, but when I was eating breakfast I would take two supplements. One is 5-HTP or L-phenylalanine, just small doses, just to top the system up first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. And what you find is they put all these extra building blocks to create certain neuroreceptors and hormones within your body. And 5-HTP especially is very good, one for chilling you out. It's very good for building up like the building blocks for serotonin and things like that, so you'll relax and you'll go to sleep. But it's also very good for curbing appetite. Don't overdo it though, because you can suffer with something called serotonin syndrome, where if you take too much 5-HTP or L-tryptophan, it builds up in your body and it can make you really poorly. So small doses on that. It's also very good for reducing pain, you know, minor pains and things like that. It's very good for that. So 5-HTP and L-phenylalanine, they're both good little supplements to have. Or if you could tolerate it, L-tryptophan. What I find with L-tryptophan is it gives me, whilst I do go to sleep, it's very restless sleep. I think it's just doesn't suit me, L-tryptophan. The other one is a magnesium complex. I tend to have that before bed on an empty stomach, you know, so 2-3 hours after I've had something to eat, I'll have one of those, and that really does help me get some nice sleep. I know a lot of people don't rate supplements and they don't see how our body can absorb them, but from my experience, those three have seriously helped me sleep better at night. I purposely sleep in cool environments, even through the height of winter. I only have like a 4-tog duvet, or maybe it's a thin sheet or a thin blanket or something like that. I only have very cool clothing. I do sleep much better that way. Another little trick, I don't know if it's an old wives' tale or not, but I sometimes put socks on, just thin socks, and what you find is that kind of equalizes the temperature of your extremities a little bit, and you know, that can send you to sleep for an awful lot better and for longer. You know, I know it sounds a bit crazy, but it does seem to work. I wouldn't say I do it every night, but you know, just those little, you know, like ankle socks kind of thing, trainer socks, I sometimes just put a pair of those on. If it's really cold, say if I'm stopping in digs somewhere and it's, you know, there's no heating or anything and the duvet ain't particularly good, then I'll put, you know, my work socks on or something like that. So that's a good little tip. And of course, it brings you around to reducing the amount of carbohydrates you have in your diet, which you will naturally do if you follow a strict carnivore diet. And that was fundamental. I think obviously it has to work in combination with the other points that I've put across there, but cutting out the carbs, cutting out all the artificial sweeteners and additives and all that junk which is in, you know, mass produced food and ready meals and takeouts and stuff, that makes a massive difference. So that's another key to it. I think the healthy fats are obviously really good for the brain and your skin and all your organs and things like that, so I think that all works synergistically. Obviously having lots of animal products, red meat especially, you know, there is all these vital nutrients that you need to create the hormones to help you go to sleep. I mentioned in the video yesterday that I thought I was low in testosterone for quite a few years because of all the mass-produced food that I'd been eating, and even though I thought I ate a healthy diet based on the guidelines that are given to us, there's obviously all these estrogens and things like that in there, so who knows, that could have had a massive impact on my ability to sleep. You know what, it's been a tough, you know, challenge trying to find out how to fall asleep and stay asleep. Since being carnivore, you know, 4.5 months, I've only had one night where I've not slept, and that was absolute agony as a result of it. Every night I've slept beautifully, but I wouldn't say it's all down to carnivore. I think a good greatest majority of it would be, and then all these different structures that I've put in, you know, all these different points which I've mentioned, they have definitely helped. And you know, if you look at any of these studies or anecdotal reports and stuff like that, you don't actually reach your full potential if you're not sleeping. I mean, people have mentioned, obviously, like, you know, like little wrinkles at my eyes and on my forehead and stuff. Well, I'm not surprised, really. If I've spent, I don't know, probably 35 years of my life not bloody sleeping when everyone else has been racked out, I'm not surprised, you know. Hopefully now I'm sleeping, things might, you know, smooth out a little bit. I'm not saying wrinkles will go, but it'd be nice to think that they start to improve a little bit with, you know, better nutrition and better sleep and resting patterns and things like that. Another thing I do to help get ready for going to sleep is I use this night shift feature on my iPhones, my iPads. It's on, I'm sure it's on the little MacBook I've got as well, and I turn it to the very warmest setting, so it goes, as soon as it hits 7 o'clock, it just turns like orange. So you kind of figure, well, you know what, it don't look great, so I don't want to use it, I don't want to activate my brain, but I put that on. I also turn all the lights off, you know, all my side lights and my room lights and things like that, they all get turned off round about 8 o'clock. So I've got a good hour and a half before going to bed where it's just nice and dark, nice and chilled out. I try not to watch any TV or movies which are going to extend past me 10 o'clock zone. So yeah, that can be a bit problematic, but you know, it is what it is. Some people mention that they like to read a book at night. Whilst I do like reading, I find at night time it just brings me to life, so that's never worked for me. So if I was to recap, you know, because obviously I've waffled on again, if I was to recap all the things I would do to help you sleep a little bit better, then obviously carnivore diet, kicking all your carbs and things like that. Make sure you get plenty of saturated fats and the healthy fats in your meat and your animal products. Make sure you set a time to go to bed and a time to get up, and follow that religiously. Make sure your room is as dark as possible and as cool as possible and as quiet as possible. If at all achievable, eye mask, earplugs. You know, I think exercise works really well. Setting, you know, your lights so they go off, you know, nice and early. Setting all your devices so they change to that, you know, night mode. And just put yourself in a position where you are going to relax, naturally turn off and just go to sleep. I think like it's the same kind of principle between this and losing body fat. You've got to put yourself in a position where it's actually achievable. You can't sleep, not effectively, unless you put yourself in a situation where you actually really are going to sleep. So get the lights off, get the sound off, get yourself in a nice quiet room, earplugs, eye mask. Don't eat for a couple of hours before at least, and just try and chill out a bit.